In this training video, we'll show you how to work with quality reporting. This helpful tool allows you to run simple or even complex reports on data, and this data can easily be exported to Excel, and you can even save a template so that you can periodically run the same report at later times in the future. To do this, on the left-hand side, you're going to find in iPatient Care an option for quality reporting. So we'll click on that, and we're going to go into, in this video, patient list and reminder. Now this is going to bring up a window here. As you can see, on the left-hand side is where we have all the different data that we can use for our report. On the right-hand side, we have two sections. We have the conditions for the report, and then below are the columns, or essentially the data that we're going to see when we produce or export the report. So there's a number of different kinds of reports or lists that we could make. As you can see, the amount of data on the left-hand side is quite vast. We can expand each of these sections and just see all of the data available to us. For example, I've expanded the demographic area. Now, if you're looking for a specific record or data set, you can easily use the search window at the top. For example, if we were looking for a first name for a patient, we can start typing that in, like first name here, and we'll notice that that shows up right under demographics. Now, if we wanted to use that as something to display and as a column at the end when we generate a report, we simply click and drag whatever we're looking to into either the columns area or the conditions area. We could do the same thing with other fields as well. For example, I'll do a search for age, and we could drag that over to a condition. So let's say, for example, we want to build a report where we want to see all of the patients that meet a certain condition. In this case, since we've already got the fields moved over, let's do a report for all of our patients that are over the age of 50. To do that, as we've already shown, we'll drag over this age column. We searched for it. We can, of course, also manually go and look for it under demographics, scroll through, and we found it here, and we could drag it into this conditions area. Once we have it up here, we have to select an operator. So essentially, if we want our value to be 50 years and older as the cutoff, our operator, it tells us how to interact with that value. So in this case, we could say we want to show all patients that are greater than or equal to 50 years of age. Now, if we wanted a specific age of patients, we could even use equal to. That will show just patients that are 50 years old and ignore the rest, or use any of these other options. In this case, for this demonstration, we'll say is greater than or equal to 50. And then we also have a condition over at the right. We're working off of years, but we could also go off of days, weeks, or months in this particular case. So that's the condition of our report. Now the columns down below. That's what's going to display when we actually generate the report. Well, right now we only have the first name. Likely to be most helpful, we want to see the full name of the patient. So we'll bring in the last name as well. And we have other fields that we could bring in. Just to show you another way to bring data in, if you're going to be selecting a lot of fields like date of birth and age, we could check a few of these. And then at the upper area here, we have some buttons where it can mass add these all at once. This middle button will add our selections here to the conditions area. And this button to the right will add these columns or these selected options to the column area. So I'll do that, and you'll see those three have been easily added for quick entry. Now, if we had a lot of other things to select, we could use this reset button here or clear selection button, and you'll notice those check marks clear, so we could select a bunch of more things. Well, let's try running this report. To be able to do that, at the top, we do have to put in some title. Even if we're not going to save the report, at this time we have to put something in. So I'll just put in test. And we're going to click on this generate report button. As you can see, this pulled up a list of all of our patients that are 50 years of age or older. And we have our first name, our last name columns, our date of birth, and our age is displayed. So we can confirm our results are correct. And you can see over at the bottom right, we have a number of pages we could scroll through. Now, if we wanted, we can export this. As you can see, we have a couple buttons at the upper left. We could export in Excel or to CSV for further data processing if we want. I'm going to click OK. You're going to notice that everything stays here even after we generate the report. That does give us an opportunity, if it's the way we like it, we could actually save this as a template. And that will allow us to select it from this drop-down box up here for later use. We could run the report at a later time. So I'll show you that. We'll save that template. And you notice now this is a selection for us in our drop-down menu. One thing that's worth noting when we actually have a template that shows up in our list, it sometimes will reset the conditions on us. So if we select that here, it does pop it back in the value, but just note that for some reports and some conditions, some of these operators or values may reset and you have to put that data back in each time you run it in the future. So I just wanted to make a note of that. Well, let's think of a few other kinds of reports that perhaps you would want to run. Let me clear our selection here. Maybe we want to run a list of patients that have a certain insurance carrier in the system. So as we think about that, the condition is the insurance carrier. So in our system here, that's considered a plan or a plan name. So we can search for plan, and there it is under the insurance category. So we'll say plan name, we'll drag that over. We only have really one operator here, but we can click this magnifying glass to choose which plan we want to use and do our search for in this case. Well, we'll look for all patients that have a Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. Another option for us, sometimes maybe we have, as we use this system, we've marked some patients as inactive. Maybe we don't want to see inactive patients. So there is actually a patient demographic selection for patient inactive. If we bring that over, we could say patient inactive is equal to, and we could say no, which essentially is saying show me only the active patients. So that might be something we add to some of our reports so that we exclude the inactive patients. Well, from here now we can just choose what do we want to display on the report, what do we want to see in the columns below. As is often the case, we'll probably again use the patient first and last name, so we can bring that right over. Something else worth mentioning is as we work with our columns down at the bottom, we can choose how those columns are sorted. Of course, we can do that when we bring it into Excel, if we were to export this report, but if we want to see it when we generate it, we can choose to click on these, and you'll notice the arrow direction will change if we want to sort A to Z or Z to A, and adjust that. We'll leave it at the default here, and we'll just again put in test or whatever we need to just to generate the report. And you'll see we have two patients that meet our criteria, that are active and have that particular plan that we selected. Okay, well, perhaps we'll throw one other option out there. Maybe we want to see a patient report for all patients that have had a certain CPT code that they have had connected with them. So again, the condition we're looking for is our CPT code. So in this case, we can even search for that, and you notice we have under charge code, we have that option for CPT. So we'll select, in this case, the operator. Well, we want only a specific CPT code. We could say is equal to, and type out our CPT code. We'll do 98940. Now, if we wanted to, and we had maybe multiple CPT codes we wanted to search for, we could keep adding this column and continue to add that another value, for example, 98941, and do a search for that. So if we needed to stack our conditions, even for the same field, we can do that. If we ever have something we don't want, we can remove that as well by clicking the trash can icon. Okay, we have this just like we want it. Now, as before, we're going to do a search by or choose the columns that we want to have show up once we've done our search, and as often the case, we'll put in the patient's name. Okay, well, let's generate our report here now. We'll give it a sample name, and there we are. We can see all of our patients here that meet that criteria, that have had that CPT code of 98940. Well, we hope this training video on using this quality reporting tool is helpful. Feel free to let us know if you have any questions, and we're always happy to help. Thanks again for watching.